at the half, and it is Minnesota leading the undefeated and 7th-ranked Nebraska Cornhuskers 36-30. Here after 20 minutes of play, let's run down the stats here in this first half for Minnesota. 12 of 29 shooting at 41%, but the big story, the three-point shooting. Minnesota, 9 of 20 from three-point range, 45%. 20 of the 29 field goal attempts for Minnesota in the first half were from three-point range. They were 3 for 9 from two-point range. 3 of 5 at the free throw line for 60%. For Nebraska, 13 of 31 shooting for 42%. They were just 2 for 11 from three-point range at 18%. They were 2 for 2 at the free throw line. Rebound edge, a very slight one for Nebraska, 19-18. Nebraska turned it over 5 times in the first half. Minnesota turned it over 4. Leading the way for Minnesota in that first half, 2 players with 12 points in that first half, Bobby Durkin and Jalen Crocker-Johnson, both with 12 points in the first half. Cade Tyson added 6. Kai Shinholster, 5 points off the bench for Minnesota, and Langston Reynolds with 1 point in that first half. For Nebraska, they were led by Sam Hoiberg's 14 points. He averages just a little over 8 a game. 6 points out of Rink Mast, 4 points out of Burke Buyuk-Tunjul, and 2 points apiece from Price Sanford, Jamarcus Russell, and Cale Jacobson off the bench in that first half. Neither team getting much off their bench at all. Minnesota, 5 bench points. Nebraska, 2 bench points. As it is a 36-30 lead for Minnesota over Nebraska, looking to knock Nebraska from the ranks of the undefeated, which we still have 3 of in college basketball: Nebraska, Arizona, and Miami of Ohio, the remaining 3 undefeated teams. In college basketball, Arizona will tip off here in just about an hour as they will be taking on West Virginia out there in Tucson. Updating some of the other top 25 scores across the country. At the half, number 5 Duke is in front of Wake Forest 42-31. Number 10 Michigan State all over Maryland at the half 46-23. Also at the half, Virginia, number 14 Virginia leading number 22 North Carolina 43-34. Number 15, Vanderbilt, in the midst of a 3-game losing streak, and they're taking that out on poor Mississippi State. It's 51-30, Vanderbilt at the half. Number 18, Clemson, leading Georgia Tech 35-33 at the half, and just underway, Villanova and UConn. Villanova, the early lead in that one in the first half. Just about to tip off in Austin, Texas hosting number 21, Georgia. And here, can Minnesota hold on for another 20 minutes and pull the upset this afternoon over the 7th-ranked Nebraska Cornhuskers? As half number 2 getting set to commence from Williams Arena. Buyuk-Tunjul, Sanford, Mast, Lawrence, and Hoiberg on the floor to start the second half for Nebraska. Durkin, Crocker-Johnson, Asuma, Tyson, and Reynolds, the original starting 5 both ways. On the floor here in the second half, which is underway, Minnesota has the ball. Nebraska will knock it out of bounds. It will stay with the Gophers. Minnesota to inbound. Crocker Johnson with it. And over it goes in the corner to Cade Tyson. And now driving inside, the shot up and way off the mark from Bobby Durkin, and it's rebounded by Nebraska, and the Cornhuskers with their first possession of the second half. Here's Hoiberg. Inside, Rink Mast. Mast trying to back his way in against Crocker Johnson. Mast lost it, but they're going to get a reach-in foul on Jalen Crocker Johnson. No, they're going to get, I'm sorry, they got Isaac Asuma with it, and that's his third. Oh, yeah, that's a good call. There was a reach-in by Asuma. So Asuma, 41 seconds into the second half, picks up his third foul. And Nebraska to inbound. Here's Mast. Mast now on the outside, gives it off to Jamarcus Lawrence. Lawrence looking to drive. Lawrence lost it momentarily, gets it off to Sanford, who misses a three-pointer. Rebound pulled down by Minnesota. Langston Reynolds brings it up the floor for the Gophers and knocked out of bounds by the Cornhuskers. It will stay Minnesota ball. Minnesota to inbound. In comes to Crocker Johnson. Langston Reynolds with it at the top of the key. Now Reynolds looking for some help. And gets it inside. Back outside to Tyson. 6 to shoot for Minnesota. Tyson drives inside, counted, and a foul. Cade Tyson drives inside, got the basket to go, and an and one. Tyson to complete the three-point play, and he does not as he misses the free throw. Tyson going after the loose ball, but can't corral it. Nebraska with the rebound, and now we have a stoppage. The officials stopped the play. So Nebraska, as things are sorted out now, Nebraska will inbound and bring it up the floor. Here's Lawrence. Lawrence, nice pass inside and cannot finish. Lawrence got it into Sanford, who couldn't finish but got fouled. Fouls on Cade Tyson, his first, and it will send Price Sanford to the line for two. Just 2 points so far in the game for Sanford. First is good. One more coming. And Sanford hits both. 4 points now for him. Nebraska on the board here in the second half. 38-32 Minnesota. Pass inside. Open three-pointer on the way off the back rim. No. Rebound to Nebraska. Boy, Bobby Durkin had a wide open look there, but just missed it long. And now Sanford at the other end with an open three. That rims off. Rebound pulled down by Minnesota. Gophers work it around, now getting cut off, and the Gophers reset. Here's Crocker Johnson. Bounce pass inside. Goes Crocker Johnson with the left hand. Too strong. Rebound pulled down by Nebraska. And a coast-to-coast layup attempt is no good. And back comes Minnesota. Pace is picking up again. Counted and a foul. Langston Reynolds with a bucket and one. The lead is 8 for Minnesota, trying to make it 9 with the N1, and Buyuk Tunjul just got his third foul for Nebraska. So Langston Reynolds with the free throw, trying to put Minnesota up 9. He does not, as he missed the free throw. And that ball knocked out of bounds. It's going to be a foul, however, on Minnesota. Number 2 on Tyson. Team foul number 2 here in the second half for Minnesota. Hoiberg with it for the Cornhuskers. Off to Rink Mast. Back to Hoiberg. Lost it momentarily, but able to regroup. Hoiberg gets inside, sends it outside now. And driving inside for the layup is Cale Jacobson. That's his second field goal. And it's a 40-34 lead for Minnesota. 3 minutes old, second half. Langston Reynolds outside. This is a wide open 3 for Tyson, but he missed it off the backside. Rebound pulled down by Nebraska. Well, you can't leave Minnesota shooters open out there. Sanford for 3. That is going to get the bounce. It hit short off the front rim, but got the friendly bounce. And Nebraska's within 3 at 40-37. Here's Tyson on the outside for Minnesota. Off to Crocker Johnson. Crocker Johnson gets it back. He'll try a 3. That rimmed out. Offensive rebound, put back, no. And out of bounds, it is going to be Nebraska ball. With Minnesota hustling, getting these rebounds, they've been unable to finish. That original layup attempt by Durkin was blocked. And then it went off Durkin out of bounds. And up come the Cornhuskers as Jamarcus Lawrence brings it up the floor. Lawrence with it now. Pass inside to Sanford. Sanford puts it up and in. Sanford with 9 all of a sudden. He only had 2 in the first half. And Nebraska's within 1, 40-39. And pass behind Crocker Johnson is stolen by Nebraska. It's a 1-on-3, and Nebraska wisely sends it back out. Sanford's 3 for the lead is no good. But Mass gets the offensive rebound. Here's Lawrence off the front of the rim, no good. Rebound Minnesota. So the Gophers dodged a bullet right there. And now slowing it up is Langston Reynolds as he brings it across the timeline. Reynolds on the outside, guarded by Lawrence. Reynolds looking for help. Bounce pass to Crocker Johnson. Over to Tyson. Tyson driving inside. Gets off the glass and gets it to go. Cade Tyson now in double figures with 10. 42-39 Minnesota. Cale Jacobson with it for Nebraska. Jacobson outside. Now Lawrence. Jamarcus Lawrence with the driving layup for Nebraska. 42-41, just the second field goal of the game for Lawrence. He's got 4 points. Nebraska doing more of their damage inside. Minnesota doing their damage on the outside. This is a foul on Nebraska, which brings us to the under 16 timeout with just over 14 and a half to go. 42-41 Minnesota. So Minnesota went up by 8 early in the second half, but Nebraska's battled back to make it a 1-point game. Nebraska still shooting at 43%. Just 3 for 16 from three-point range today, though, 19%. Minnesota's 39% shooting, 39% from three. They're 0 for 3 to start the second half from three-point range. And Minnesota not helping themselves from the foul line. They're just 3 for 7 from the free throw line. Updating some of these top 25 scores. Duke's pulling away from Wake Forest. That's now 53-36 in the second half. Vanderbilt just destroying Mississippi State on the road, 61-36 in the second half. Villanova continuing to lead UConn by 1. Under 4 to go in the first half in that one. Again, 2 ranked versus ranked matchups coming up here within the next 2 hours. Coming up at the top of the hour in Lubbock, number 12 Texas Tech hosts number 6 Houston. And coming up at 3 o'clock Eastern time, number 4 Purdue hosts number 11 Illinois. So 2 top 12 matchups on the docket there. 1 out of the Big 12 and 1 out of the Big 10. And here Nebraska looks to go to 20-0, but they're getting a battle from the Minnesota Golden Gophers as Minnesota leads at 42-41. By the way, going into the timeout there on that Nebraska foul, Jamarcus Lawrence picked up his 3rd foul. So Lawrence and Buyuk Tunjol have 3 fouls apiece for Nebraska. So keep an eye on that as the second half goes on. Nico Medved doesn't go real deep on his bench. He's only gone 7 deep in this one. Nebraska hasn't gone much farther. They've only gone 8 deep. And off the inbound, Minnesota will bring it in. And what do we got here? Officials are having a discussion. There was a whistle before the ball was inbounded. Looked like we had a little something underneath the basket between Sanford and Sanford and Cade Tyson got themselves locked up under the basket, so the officials might be looking to see if there's anything that warrants a flagrant 1 foul here. It looked like they just got tangled up. I didn't see anything there that, as I just showed the replay here, but I didn't see anything that would warrant anything being upgraded, but officials still looking at it. So this is taking a little longer than I thought, which tells me there might be something that gets upgraded here. It's like Sanford's hand may have went up in the face of Cade Tyson. I'm sure that's what they're looking at. It didn't look to me that it was anything egregious, but it doesn't need to be this day and age. So they've went to a commercial break here. North Carolina battling back against Virginia. North Carolina's cut that to a 5-point game just underway in the second half. So it looks like we are going to have a flagrant 1 foul called here. As Fred Hoiberg's getting an explanation from the officials. And it looks like they are going to call a flagrant 1 on Sanford. There was a little bit of contact. High on Tyson. No flagrant. The way Fred Hoiberg was reacting on the sideline, it looked like there was going to be a flagrant 1 foul, but there was not. And then a missed 3 off the inbound for Minnesota. So back comes Nebraska. I think that's the right no flagrant. There wouldn't look anything egregious there. Nebraska looks for the lead with this 3-pointer, but they don't get it. Offensive rebound, though, for Mast. He misses the putback, and it's rebounded by Minnesota. And this is going to be a foul on Nebraska going down the other way. This one's going to be called on Mast. Be his first, team's 5th already on Nebraska in the second half with 14:03 to go. And the pass sails too high. And Minnesota will turn it over for the 6th time. Reynolds, a little bit of airmail on that pass. And threw it into the first row. Nebraska again looks for the lead this trip. Lawrence sends it across the court for a 3-pointer in the corner for Cale Jacobson, and that will put Nebraska in front, 44-42. Minnesota bringing it up the floor. Asuma on the outside. Asuma sends it over to a wide open 3. That's short. Rebound pulled down by Nebraska. Lawrence with it over to Sanford. Sanford for 3. That's short. Rebound Minnesota. Sanford now just 1 for 6 from 3-point range. Then we have an over-the-back foul on Nebraska on the rebound. That's going to be number 3 on Sam Hoiberg. So Buyuk Tunjol, Lawrence, and Hoiberg now 3 fouls apiece for Nebraska. Asuma inside to Crocker Johnson. Back outside to Asuma for a 3 at the top of the key. That's off the mark. Rebound pulled down by Nebraska. Minnesota now 0 for 6 from 3 here in the second half. And at the other end, a Nebraska 3 is no good. Rebound pulled down by Cade Tyson. Asuma back to Tyson, and Tyson will reset the offense for Minnesota. Off now to Durkin. Durkin finds Asuma across the court. And a pass went right to a Nebraska defender, so that's another turnover for Minnesota. Hoiberg, bounce pass to Mast. Mast sends it outside. This is Sanford finding Hoiberg. Down to 12 minutes remaining. Mast on the drive. Mast gets cut off. 8 on the shot clock. Lawrence now. Lawrence to the left of the foul line, fading away and hitting the jumper. Jamarcus Lawrence extends the Nebraska lead to 4, 46-42. Lawrence now with 6 in the game. And the off-balance shot is no good from Langston Reynolds, and it's rebounded by Nebraska. And Sanford is fouled, and that's number 4 on Tyson as he goes hobbling to the bench. Tyson favoring that looks like his right ankle as he is walking off to the Minnesota bench. 46-42 Nebraska, 11:29 remaining. And correction, that's the 3rd foul on Tyson, not the 4th. But we'll have to see the status on him as he went hobbling over to the sideline. Going into this under 12 timeout. They have gone to the half between Villanova and UConn. Villanova's leading UConn 31-27. Michigan State has gone up 30 on Maryland in the second half. North Carolina, Virginia battled in a 3-point game in Charlottesville in the second half. 54-51. Virginia leading North Carolina. It's 5 minutes old in the second half in that one. Vanderbilt continuing to wallop Mississippi State. Here, 46-42, Nebraska has battled back to take the lead over Minnesota with 11:29 remaining. Fred Hoiberg and the Nebraska Cornhuskers looking to move to 20-0. With a big battle coming up next week on Tuesday. Nebraska, undefeated Nebraska, traveling to Ann Arbor to take on Michigan. Off the inbound. Here come the Cornhuskers. Inside it is to Jacobson. Nice pass inside, and the reverse layup for Sanford extends the lead to 6 for Nebraska, 48-42. Tyson inside will get it to go with the right hand. Cade Tyson. He went hobbling to the bench there at the timeout, but he looks fine as he got that basket to go there, 48-44. Bayou Tunjil in the game with 3 fouls for Nebraska. Hoiberg into the corner. A 3-pointer is swished by Jamarcus Lawrence. He is heated up here in the second half. And the lead for Nebraska up to 7, 51-44. Tyson with it on the outside for Minnesota. Now Crocker Johnson outside. That's a missed three-pointer. Minnesota now 0 for 7 from 3 in the second half. After hitting 9 in the first half, Tunjo inside will get the layup to go, and that leads to a Minnesota timeout. As Nebraska has pushed their lead to 9, it's the largest lead of the game for the Cornhuskers at 53-44, exactly midway through the second half. This will be a full timeout. So back to what I was saying earlier. After this, the schedule gets a little daunting for Nebraska as 3 of their next 4 are against ranked opponents. They head to Ann Arbor on Tuesday for a game against the 3rd-ranked Wolverines. Then they're back at home a week from tomorrow at home against number 11 Illinois. They do have a road game in Piscataway against Rutgers, and then come back home to take on the 4th-ranked Purdue Boilermakers. So 3 of the top 11 teams in the country among Nebraska's next 4 games. So the schedule gets very daunting. Minnesota, next in action on Wednesday at Wisconsin. After the timeout, Gophers bring it in. Now facing a 9-point deficit. A three-pointer on the way. That's an air ball. Minnesota now 0 for 8 from 3. Nebraska's outscored Minnesota in the second half so far, 23-8. Nebraska looks for a double-digit lead this trip. Hoiberg gets inside, but the bounce pass goes through the legs of Tunjo and stolen by Minnesota. Langston Reynolds is fouled on the way up, and that will be Nebraska's 7th team foul. So Minnesota shooting free throws the rest of this game. Price Sanford just picked up his 3rd foul for Nebraska. Sanford becomes now the 4th Nebraska Cornhusker with 3 fouls. Langston Reynolds at the line. First of 2 is good. One more coming for Reynolds. His second free throw is also good. 53-46. Nebraska's lead is 7. Jamarcus Russell brings it up the floor for the Cornhuskers. Here's Sanford on the outside. Nice ball movement around, and a three-pointer by Jacobson is no good. Off the back rim, rebounded by Minnesota. Reynolds, nice pass inside, and the finish. A great pass inside from Langston Reynolds to Grayson Grove, who gets on the scoring column. 53-48. There was a whistle after the play. I'm not sure what that was. Whatever it was, it looked like a bunch of nothing as Nebraska's bringing it up the floor with 8:40 to go. Minnesota on a mini run here to pull back within 5. Lawrence to Sanford. Sanford for 3. That's good. Price Sanford with his second three-pointer. He's got 14, and the Husker lead is 8, 56-48. Minnesota trying to answer. Here's a double team. And outside it goes to Crocker Johnson. Langston Reynolds now has the Gophers moving around the arc. 5 to shoot. We have to put it up here. Durkin will put up a 3 at the top of the key and airmails it and out of bounds. It will go to Nebraska. 7:59 to go. Cornhuskers leading 56-48. Looking to move to 20-0 on the season. So can Nebraska hang on and stay undefeated? Nebraska at 45% shooting, 23 of 51, 6 of 23 from three-point range at 26%. For Minnesota, they're 17 of 47 shooting the ball, 36%. From three, they're 9 for 29, but they are 0 for 9 in this second half. 5 of 9 at the free throw line. Rebound edge for Nebraska, 34-28. Nebraska's led by Price Sanford and Sam Hoiberg, 14 points apiece. 12 points apiece from Bobby Durkin, Jalen Crocker Johnson, and Cade Tyson to lead the way for Minnesota. North Carolina's come all the way back to take a 3-point lead over Virginia, 65-62 in the second half. Off the inbound, it'll be Cornhusker ball out of the timeout. Here's Mast on the outside. Mast, the bounce pass to Sanford. Sanford, and here's a corner 3 and a foul on a 3-point shot. The shot was no good, but this will be 3 free throws. That's a double whammy. It was a foul on a 3-point shot, plus it's Isaac Asuma's 4th foul. So Jamarcus Lawrence will have 3 free throws. First is good. Asuma scoreless this afternoon with the 4 personals, and Lawrence hits the first 2. Lawrence hits all three. He's got 12. Nebraska lead is 11 with 7.5 to play. Outside it goes to Bobby Durkin. Asuma, who stays in the game with 4 fouls. Durkin draws a double team, sends it back to Asuma. And now here's Durkin for 3. That's off the back rim, no good. Minnesota still has not hit a 3 in the second half. Now 0 for 10. Jamarcus Lawrence with it for Nebraska. And it's a 3-point shot up and good for Sanford. Price Sanford with 17. And the Nebraska lead all of a sudden has ballooned to 14, 62-48. Langston Reynolds on the drive, and we have a turnover. Price Sanford, 17 points. 15 of those 17 have come here in the second half. Sanford with it now. Sanford will try another 3. He hits again. He's got 20. Boy, is he feeling it here in the second half. And Nebraska's pulled away. And they lead now by 17. They have outscored Minnesota 35-12 in the second half. Reynolds is fouled on the drive. Will send Minnesota to the free throw line. Front end of the 1-and-1 is way short. That barely drew iron. 6 minutes to play. A big second half for the Cornhuskers after trailing by 6 at halftime. Mast, and he gets fouled. So now both teams are in the penalty. One and one on the way here. As Rink Mast will head to the free throw line. Front end of the 1-and-1 is good. Mast with one more. Got it. 67-48. Nebraska in the midst of a 14-0 run to bust this thing open. Langston Reynolds on the drive for Minnesota, kicks it back outside. Asuma now trying to drive, cannot. Back outside to Crocker Johnson. Shot clock at 7. Shot. Three-pointer is blocked. And boy, has Nebraska picked up the defense in this second half as well. Open three-pointer on the way. That's long. Rebound pulled down by Minnesota. Got the feeling that probably would have been the knockout punch right there. 5 minutes to go. Asuma to Crocker Johnson. Shot clock down to 7 for Minnesota. That's a nice pass inside, and there's going to be a foul. Hoiberg picks up foul number 4. Kai Shinholster at the line. This will be a 1-1 for Minnesota. First is good. Shinholster missed the second. 67-49. Mast on the outside. Gives it off to Sanford. Sanford, nice bounce pass inside. Mast can't finish, however. Rebound pulled down by Minnesota. And the layup at the other end is good. That will make it 67-51. As we approach 4 minutes to play. And Nebraska turns it over. Back the other way comes Minnesota. On the drive, Asuma gets cut off. Nice pass inside and the finish off the glass. Bobby Durkin now with a dozen. 67-53. By Tunjul to Hoiberg. Hoiberg in the game with 4 fouls. Hoiberg gets cut off. Back outside it goes to Mast. Buyuk Tunjul with a nice cut to a feeding Sanford, who lays it in. $69-53. And the Gophers turn it over. 6:11 remaining, or 3:11 remaining. Minnesota wishes there were 6 minutes left. 69-53. Nebraska 3 minutes away from 20-0 on the season. They have an overall 23-game winning streak dating back to last season. As Nebraska ended up winning last year's inaugural college basketball crown tournament. Nebraska has not lost a basketball game since last year's Big Ten tournament. And they are 3 minutes away from coming out victorious in this one. Minnesota's dropped to 37% shooting. They are 0 for 11 from three-point range in the second half, after hitting 9 in the first half. Nebraska, a perfect 9 of 9 at the free throw line. Minnesota, 6 of 12. Back with you later on tonight for another college basketball stream. Kansas and Kansas State from Manhattan. That game coming up 8 o'clock Eastern Time. So here's Nebraska out of the timeout with 3 to go. Sanford on the drive. Sanford kicks it outside to Lawrence. Shot clock down to 10. Jamarcus Lawrence on the drive with the right hand. Can't get it to go, but it's tipped in by Buyuk Tunjul. And it's 71-53. Langston Reynolds with a tough pass that was batted away and taken away. Nebraska using a little bit of the clock here. Hoiberg off the glass. No. Rebound Minnesota. And we have a foul on Nebraska, looks like. And Nebraska clearing the bench a little bit. There is a little bit of breaking news that just came down from the sports world that is not college basketball related, but it's a pretty big sports story. After the conclusion of this game, before I sign off on the live stream, I will report that breaking news that has just come down within the last 5 minutes. Down to 2 minutes, under 2 minutes. On the outside here is Shinholster. And that pass is going to be batted, so no backcourt. Shinholster on the drive. Shinholster puts it up and in with the right hand. He's got 8 off the bench. 71-55. But Nebraska really stepped up the defense in the second half. They've held Minnesota to 19 second half points while scoring 41. Jamarcus Lawrence will get the loose ball and put it in off the glass. 73-55. .113 to go. So it's a timeout called by Nebraska, but it's just a substitution timeout to get some more benchers into the game. The Nebraska fans, and there's quite a few of them in Williams Arena, up on their feet, giving a standing ovation to their Cornhuskers, who are about to go to 20-0 on the season. And Minnesota turns the ball over here for the 12th time with 1:05 to go. Under a minute. This is Kendall Blue with the ball for Nebraska. And he walked with it. That's just the 8th turnover for Nebraska in this game. So Nebraska indeed going to be undefeated going into that matchup with the Michigan Wolverines in Ann Arbor coming up on Tuesday night. Bounce pass inside, and the layup is good for Durkin. That gives him 16 on the day. 73-57. Nebraska will have to shoot it. There is a difference in the clocks of about 8 seconds. Kendall Blue will try a deep 3. He got it. Kendall Blue from way back. 76-57. And turning the ball over is Minnesota. And Nebraska's just going to dribble this out. And the Cornhuskers move to 20-0 on the season. They are now 9-0 in the Big Ten. Minnesota falls to 10-10 overall, 3-6 in Big Ten conference play. A big second half for the Cornhuskers as they outscore Minnesota 46-21 in the second half and win this going away 76-57 over Minnesota. We'll run down the final stats, and then I will give you that breaking news that has just come down. It's come down from the NFL, I'll tell you. But run down the final stats here real quick. Nebraska ends 29 of 61 from the floor, 48%, 9 of 28 from three-point range at 32%. Nebraska, a perfect 9 of 9 from the free throw line. For Minnesota, 21 of 53 from the floor, 40%, 9 of 31 from three-point range, 29%. They went 0 for 11 from three-point range in the second half. 6 of 12 at the free throw line for 50%. Rebound edge for Nebraska, 39-31. Minnesota turned it over 13 times to Nebraska's 8 times. Leading the way this afternoon for the Cornhuskers was Price Sanford, 22 points. 20 of those came in the second half. He single-handedly in the second half almost outscored the Minnesota team. He had 20 in the second half. Minnesota as a team in the second half had 21. Jamarcus Lawrence and Sam Hoiberg both with 14 points apiece for Nebraska. 8 apiece from Burke Bayuk-Tunjel and Rink Mast. 7 points off the bench from Cale Jacobson and 3 points from Kendall Blue to wrap up the Cornhusker scoring. For Minnesota, Bobby Durkin led the way for the Gophers with 16 points, 12 apiece from Jalen Crocker-Johnson and Cade Tyson. 8 points off the bench for Kai Shinholster. 7 points out of Langston Reynolds and a point off the bench from Grayson Grove. As Nebraska wins it, that's only 56 points that I got somehow from Minnesota. Anyway, Nebraska winner 76-57. As I said, they're now 20-0, 9-0 in the Big Ten. Minnesota drops to 10-10 overall, 3-6 in the Big Ten. Before I sign off, there's been some breaking news that has come down from the NFL over the last 20 minutes. The coaching search is over in Pittsburgh. The Steelers, looks like, if not have hired, are in the process of hiring former Cowboys and Packers coach Mike McCarthy as their next head coach in Pittsburgh. So it looks like the Steelers have the next man. This is only going to be the Steelers' 4th head coach since 1969. Of course, Mike Tomlin stepped down after the Steelers season ended in the wild card round. So it appears Mike McCarthy is headed to be the next head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Of course, the Ravens ended their coaching search earlier this week. So Mike McCarthy heading back into the coaching land as he steps in, it appears, to be the next head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I said Jesse Minter, as I mentioned, or hired earlier in the week for the Baltimore Ravens for their next head coach. So I wanted to break down that bit of NFL news that came down right at the end of this game. That is going to wrap it up for this live stream. Again, I will be back later on this evening for the Sunflower State showdown between Kansas and Kansas State. That is coming up at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. There in the Little Apple, Manhattan, Kansas, as Kansas State will take on their state rivals, number 19, Kansas. That game coming up 8 o'clock Eastern Time. I will be on the live stream for that one. Appreciate you joining me, everybody. Again, my name is John, Sports Bonanza John on YouTube. If you like my content, really would appreciate a like and subscribe. Also on Kick today at Sports Kick John. That live stream tonight between Kansas and Kansas State will be on my YouTube page at Sports Bonanza John. That one's also going to be on Twitch tonight at Sport Guru John. No Kick tonight for that. Kansas State game. It'll be my YouTube and my Twitch streams for that Kansas and Kansas State game tonight. Nebraska wins at 76-57 to stay undefeated at 20-0. The big showdown at Michigan coming up next for Nebraska coming up on Tuesday. It's going to wrap it up right now, and I will talk to you all later on tonight, 8 o'clock Eastern time for Kansas and Kansas State. Hopefully I have you join me for that one. Have a good day.